Okay, hello everybody. Today I wanted to make a Team Fortress 2 trading guide focusing on the how-tos rather than the what-ares. So I'll be focusing on how to apply methods of trading instead of highlighting what they are. I mean, I'll go through them in small detail, but this isn't the point of that video. I've been wanting to do this for a while, but today is the only day where I've actually got around to it, so let's start. So there are different ways of making profit. These are pretty much set in stone. These are the best ways you can do it. So scrap banking is where you buy weapons, 2 for a scrap, and you resell them for a scrap each. You make a fair bit of money this way, but it is fairly slow, and you don't make much profit. Hat banking is a similar story. Most craft hats people buy are 1.33 refined, so you buy them for a refined to 1.11 refined, you resell them for a craft hat value, make profit. The Steam market is another way of trading, so you can RMT items, free money trade items, and you can also buy them. So there could be an item there worth a key in TF2, but they're only selling it for 10p. You've just got to look around and hunt for what's best. Unboxing and unusual is very inefficient, and it can be the biggest loss of profit, but it can also be the largest, because if you unbox a very high tier unusual with a high tier effect, you've made big bank, but you could be the unlucky soul who spent 600 keys and got nothing. Unusual trading leads on from that. Once you have that unusual, you are able to make large amounts of profit very quickly if you know what you're doing, and PayPal is the finisher. It's how you sell your items for real money. So in knowing how to trade, we have to go through trade etiquette. Now the golden rule is being polite. Make the person feel at home with themselves. Don't abuse them. Don't throw any sarcastic comments in there about how little their backpack's worth or how long you've been trading. Just pretend and, treat them like an equal. So be clear about what you want. There's no point beating around the bush when you can just tell them what you want. So if you want an item, say, I want an item. Don't give them a backstory or a sob story about how much you need the item because how much it means to you. Just say, I want this item, you're trading it for this, let's do a trade. So if you're selling something, clearly state your item. This is especially in trade servers where there's a huge difference in potential profit from selling hat to selling the chronophage misc for the sniper. This leads on to the class can help if it's a new item. The chronophage by itself, fairly new item. Not a lot of people might know what it is, so you write chronophage item, chronophage, sniper misc. It's a lot more attractive than just writing chronophage. If you're buying similar to selling, clearly state what you're wanting to buy for what prices, and you'll get a larger flock than just saying buying things. Negotiate. It's hugely surprising the amount of people who don't do this, but just asking for a scrap or two off can make a huge difference. And this is the big thing. This is what I'll be covering later on in the guide. State your buyout prices. This is pretty important. Buyout prices save a lot of time for people, and it gets you what you want. If you want 1.33 for an item, make sure you set that price. If you're selling a hat for 1.33, don't say, I'm looking for offers, or how much are you going to offer me. Just state what you want for it. Chances are you'll make a trade quicker. Remember your please and thank yous. It relates back to being polite. So once you've got the trade etiquette, you can move on to knowing who to trade and the types of personality you'll be looking for. But first of all, we have to go through selling and buying. So selling is substantially easier than buying because all you essentially are doing is waiting for someone to buy your item. You can do this in the laziest way possible, and it still comes down to someone wanting to buy your item. Politeness always matters. If you're trading someone and they're being a bit stubborn about prices, just keep being polite. Even if something's happened that day or you've gone through a particularly bad trade streak, be polite. Please look around before you sell your item. Are other people selling it for more or less than what the suggested price is? If so, edit your price as such. Set fair buyouts. This is extremely important, and it covers the setting buyouts. aspect of trading, make sure that your buyout is realistic. Your 3F item is definitely not going to sell for a key. You could be that 1 in a million chance, but generally if someone is looking for a 3Ref item, they'll be looking to pay 3Ref because that's what it says on price checking websites. It's hell, I know, I'll cover it, let's move on. So despite the hate for price checking sites, backpack.tf is your friend. Although people, a lot of people state that backpack.tf is not accurate, it's not relevant, they don't go by it, they're not willing to sell for backpack prices, they know how much it is and they're not selling it for that price. Chances are they are still using that website. They are, because everyone goes by this price. It'd be hard to tell to find someone who will pay 3 ref for an item that's listed as 1 ref on backpack. Buying is a different kettle of fish. Certain types people will increase your rate of successful trading in terms of buying. For me, it's not an issue of sharking or fishing, it's more psychology and knowing who to trade. So although this is a bit of a morally grey area, there are sort of 3 categories you can look at for people who will have a higher success rate for trading. The big tell that someone is a very experienced trader is that they'll have buyouts set, they'll have everything they want inside that little trade bubble for you to clearly see, whereas the person selling hat is a lot more opens up a lot more negotiation and a lot more room for talks. So in this aspect, you should try to follow the rules of grammar, selling format, and responses given. It's a psychological game. It's knowing who to trade and who to be. This tip here: who to negotiate with. So you can negotiate with people, but don't be a dick about it. Don't intentionally shark or fish it, because that's not what this is. I'm not telling you to shark or fish. I'm simply saying success rates with higher trading people in terms of profit making is not going to be very likely, but it can happen. Now, the biggest player in how your trade goes is confidence. I've given you the guidelines about who to trade and how to set out that trade, but you have to be able to apply it. Confidence is your difference between 1 scrap and 1 ref profit. This is you asking for a ref off or a scrap off. So try to negotiate with the seller. 70% of the time, it does work. It does work. A lot of the time, people are lenient in their prices, and they will go a few scrap, maybe even a ref, underneath the price that they're after, because they're not entirely sure what their item is worth. They're just going by a guideline. Maybe they don't want the item. Maybe they haven't had an offer in a while. You have to factor in all these aspects of why they will sell it for cheaper. Think to yourself, well, why would you sell an item for cheaper? Is it because you bought it extremely low? Is it because you don't really want it anymore? And if there's ways that you will sell for cheaper, there must be ways for other people to do that as well. So the reasons there are pretty key. If it works, if you got a successful barter, fantastic. You bought something without being a massive douchebag. If it didn't work, it doesn't really matter. The fact that I'm making this guide points to you that it can work in some scenarios. So keep at it. It does work. So let's go through a couple of example trades on the difference confidence makes in a trade. So this is someone with a lack of confidence. This is quite a standard trade I see, and personally I used to do this sort of thing as well. They wonder why they're not making profit. Let's examine it. So, but the buyer says, "Hi, I saw you were selling X." Very common. That's how you open up a trade. Seller says yes. They post it in the trade window, and then the buyer says, "How much are you asking for it?" And they state the standard backpack.tf price. So let's say it's a craft hat, 1.33 refined. The buyer will then say, "Oh, okay, I wanted it for cheaper. Sorry for wasting your time," and then close the trade. Big no-no. Let's examine what you should say, having confidence. "Hi, I saw you were selling X. Yes, how much are you asking for? 1.33 refined." But instead of saying, "That's not what I'm looking for," or "That's not the price I'm willing to pay," say, "I can offer you a ref for it," or "Will you take a rec off of it? Will you do this? Will you do that? Are you open to offers?" Or you can do the classic, you offer a lower price and they say, "Hey, would you do 1.11 for it?" Sure. So you've managed to reduce the price of the item quite substantially. as well as them being happy with the trade. So this is extremely powerful, just having a little bit of confidence to negotiate with people to the point of where you can make steady profit on items, and people who you wouldn't have figured before. That person saying selling X hat, who knows? He might be a nice guy. Trading servers are massively powerful. You can passive trade all you want on an Outpost and Bazaar, but the thing I find most powerful is actively trading items. It's very hard to buy off Outpost. Making profit through Outpost is difficult because people generally tend to sell a lot more on that or offer extremely low prices to buy items. Trade servers are very powerful. There are places to buy and sell. No one needs to tell you that. All I'm simply saying is that there are places that it's easier to sell and buy items. So the people who spam their trades in all day, just Control V the same wall of text in the trade window, and tab out, do something else, and listen for the trade sound, they're not looking at the chat. The chat is the most important tool for making quick fire profit in a trade server. Chat equals money. For instance, today, with the price of keys being 8.33 at the moment, there was someone selling one for 7 ref. Now, anyone on TF2 Outpost would jump on that, but because there's certain people who just don't read the chat, they're losing out. So if you can snipe these deals, these very quick fire deals, you make a lot of money in a very short time. So where do you go from here? You've learned how to trade, you've learned what to say and who to trade with, and different means of making profit. What do you do from here? You continue on these methods. I'm stating them here because they do work, and I hope they work in the future for you. That's why this video is going up. So from then on you can jump forward into unusuals. The same kind of principles apply to unusuals, it's just a lot higher tier. You're dealing with much more expensive items, but people are still lenient, they're still negotiable, there's still different people to trade with. And this is why you should experiment. The tips that I'm giving are not necessarily going to work 100% of the time. You're going to have to be willing to change things up a little. Maybe they'll want an extra weapon that I haven't said they want. That's fine. If you're making money, fair play to you. So thank you for listening to this trading guide. I hope it was of some assistance. I will upload it inside the in the description, just so it's easier to follow along. It's easier to make notes on. Whatever you want to do with it, it will be there. If you have any questions, feel free to just post a little comment. Add me on Steam if you've got any questions. I'll give you a hand, etc., etc. So thank you again for watching. Take care.